Well, sometimes I'm perusing the internet as well as the social platforms, and there are certain things that just stick in my craw, and I have to speak on it. And today, those things are education. As most of you know, today is like the first day of school for many teachers. I'm not sure if the students are back today, but during this time, I could probably speak for my wife as well, because both of us are educators. There's an anxiety, even though you're no longer going to school. I guess the um, nature of being an educator and doing this for so long sort of gives you a little energy, all right. But also it brings some sadness or some questions as to education, or as I call it now, miseducation of our students. So, with that said, I want you to hear a segment from a guy named Michael Bradley, historian, great speechwriter, wrote a couple of books that you should be familiar with. Michael Bradley, please familiarize yourself with his literature. But he really talks about the education of Europeans. And I want to say, and before we go on, that I always talk about the African, my people, and we speak often about how African Americans don't know their history and don't study it, which is mostly true by any account. But Europeans are also lied to. Europeans are also misled. Europeans are also, like us, giving a false information about their history. Most European history is a mystery. And most European history is crouched in propaganda. I know, I taught it. With that said, Michael Bradley has a quick, I think it's only going to be 5 minute what he speaks about history because it's so on point. I had to play it today. So without further ado, let me introduce you, if you haven't been already, to Michael Bradley, historian, speaker, activist, longtime friend to historians like myself, because the stuff he has written is just out of this world. So look up his books. But for the next minute or two, I want you to listen to Michael Bradley and what he has to say about this history.
Immigration drama that we have right now is only possible because we don't understand our own history. As a country, and particularly those of us of European descent, we have lied to ourselves about how we got here and for what reason. See, black folks know why they're here. Native peoples know why they're here and how they got here. A lot of Asian folk know, particularly if they're Chinese American, they know they got here because their ancestors were brought over to work on the railroads by the railroad barons who didn't care if thousands of them died laying track 19, 20 hours a day. But for those of us who are from Europe, we have this fiction that we've told, and we believe it, even though there's no truth to it. You know what the fiction is? It's two parts. Number one, we say things like, with regard to Mexicans coming over the border, with regard to immigrants coming over, but only that border. That's the only one we care about, right? The southern border. I find that interesting. We're not flipping out about Canada, right? We only care about that one border, forgetting for a minute that that border was created at the end of a war that was started on false
The
pretense by this
Mexican
country, after which we
American
jacked
War.
half of their country. And you weren't taught that in school either because our history books aren't interested in telling the truth.
Right.
They tell this very patriotic history that has no relationship to the fact. So that border is artificial. Mexican folk who are coming here, documented or not, let's be clear, are coming home. Their families were here before our families were here in almost every instance. But we forget that, and then we say things like, well, I don't mind them coming. I just want them to come legally like my people did. The hell does that even mean? Come legally? There was no law to break when our people came. The fact that we didn't break a law that didn't even exist, you don't get cookies for that. You don't get like a pat on the back and a gold star because your great, great, great whatever was law abiding when there was no law that he could have violated, even if he wanted to. But we've told this lie that we came for these upstanding principles. So we'll say things like, well, you know, our people came for liberty and freedom. These people are just coming for stuff. They're just coming for jobs. They're just coming for health care. They're just coming for stuff. We came for high-minded principle, right? Because we believe that. What kind of third-grade version of American history is that, right? Like when Donald Trump says, well, Mexico's not sending their best. What the hell? You think Europe sent their best? Our people were the understand what I'm
correct.
saying?
A
The
lot.
winners
Yeah.
didn't leave. Why the hell would you leave if you were winning? Only the losers left because they had no choice. They were dying. They were starving. They couldn't support their families. This immigration drama that
Okay. So I'm not going to keep you long. Please comment, like, or share. But what Michael Bradley is saying is so true. Because our European brothers and sisters don't know their history either. And if there was ever an opportunity, it is now. Because the country is in chaos. And one of the things I believe, truly believe, is that when there is chaos, there is opportunity. And this is an opportunity now for white folks to get a chance to learn their history so that they can see, first of all, there are similarities between our history, but most of all, they can find out the truth to their real history. And maybe, hopefully, the rhetoric that they use against people in this country who are of color, maybe that rhetoric will turn into something or manifest itself into some sort of truth. Because that is ultimately what we all want to get through to is the truth. I just imagine African people studying their real history, European people studying their real history. Possibly there could be some coming together, or at least an understanding and an empathy for each of us. Because as it stands right now, the lack of history, the misinformation, the propaganda, the lies are tearing this country apart. There's a saying that the truth comes to earth, and I forget the other part. But you can't hide the truth, and this is what is a result of hiding truths. Donald Trump, the king, is a direct result of the miseducation of our folks here, black and white. Thank you again. Like, share.